So this video is going to be kind of like a vlog slash review video of the Contiki LA to the Bay trip that I did in May 2022. So this is day one of the Contiki trip. It started at 7 AM and you had to meet at the hotel with like your stuff ready and register and all of that. I'd already flew out to LA a couple days earlier, so if you want to see that vlog, I'll link it down below. But yeah, this is the first day of the actual Contiki. So if you didn't know, Contiki is like a tour provider. I think it's mainly like the 18 to 30 age group, but I'm not 100% sure. But that's generally who's on my trip anyway. So basically, Contiki organises like the hotel and like the transport and like the itinerary and stuff, and kind of all you've got to do is turn up. They also organise some of the activities. Some of them are optional add-ons. Contikis can be quite expensive, especially compared to like the price you'd pay for a normal holiday. So naturally, you've probably got a lot of questions about kind of what do you get for your money and like how does it all work and trying to figure out if it's for you. Also, it's really scary like going somewhere completely on your own and like just meeting people out there. So Contiki's helpful with that, and obviously this video will kind of give you an idea of what you can expect. So for a lot of places on the Contiki trip that I did, they kind of just drop you off and like let you have a couple hours or like an hour or whatever in a place. So that can be a pro or a con depending on what kind of person you are. So for example, if you like to go with the flow and just take things day by day, it's very organised. So I'm not sure if you'd enjoy that. But if you're the kind of person who likes to know what they're doing and like when they're doing it kind of thing and like have a set time to be back for and stuff, then it is good. Hey guys, so it's been a few days since I've actually like sat down to talk kind of thing. But I am getting ready for dinner. But yeah, I'm in LA. I have been for a couple days, but I've just not really had the chance to like actually do proper vlogging just because I've been with people constantly. It's the first day of the Contiki today. Just to update you guys on what's happened. I obviously got into LA on Friday evening, and then I met one of the guys off the tour who was also staying in my hostel, and we just went like round. Obviously you saw like I went shopping. We went to Universal Studios. We were literally there for like 4 hours, so I feel like we didn't really see or do like a whole lot, but we got like at least to see it. And I tried a corn dog, which is on my list of things to try. I mean, I guess it's like an American thing. It was nice. I actually really liked it. Like I would 10 out of 10 eat it again. But like if there's anyone American watching, they're probably sitting thinking like, oh my god, why is she so hyped over corn dogs? But anyway. And then I came down to this hotel, which is the Kawanda Hotel. It's like the Contiki hotel for the first night. And then we got all our stuff like on the bus. So we like had to register and stuff like that. And then, yeah, we went to Venice Beach and we had around like an hour and a half at Venice Beach. But it was still really early. Like we got there at like, I would say like 9:30, 10 maybe. So there wasn't really too much atmosphere there, which is one thing I would say like, if I could do it differently, I would have switched it around. I feel like I could have stayed at Venice Beach for a little bit longer, like seen a bit more, but obviously there just wasn't time. And then the same with like the afternoon is we went to Santa Monica Pier and we had like lunch there, like at one of like the cafes, and then we went on the Ferris wheel. But there was like loads of rides there. Like I probably had I had more time, like I probably would have done them all. Like it looked really cool, but it was good, and like I got to meet loads of people and it's chill. Then we went to Hollywood, but we only had like an hour there to like walk on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But like I feel like an hour was too much time because we didn't have enough time to do anything. We were just standing around waiting. So that was a bit like, We drove through Beverly Hills, which is kind of cool. Like that was really cool, like seeing all like the big houses, and then you could see up into like Hollywood Hills, which is like obviously where the houses from Selling Sunset are. Sorry, that aircon's really loud, I don't know how to turn it off. And then we saw the police station as well, and the police station in Beverly Hills is like a mansion. Like it's huge, it's insane. So far the Contiki seems really good, like everyone seems nice. I got dinner at 7 and it's like an included meal that comes with the Contiki. And I think we're adding all like the add-ons the rest of the trip, because you don't have to do everything, but I think I will probably do most of them. If you count the day I landed into LA as day 0, then this is only day 2. And I've still got like another 12 days. And it feels like I've been here for like a year. Like I've just adjusted so quickly. Also, somehow I've ended up with like multiple bruises like right down my legs. Don't know how that's happened, but I'm pretty much constantly bruised anyway. Hey y'all. You're so cute.
What do I eat? Basically chicken and chips.
So, I'm just about to go to bed. I'm literally like just in the room on my own, by the way. They had like salmon and potatoes. I'm actually fully losing my voice. Last night in LA, and then tomorrow we're going to San Diego. So the next morning we got up and then we went on the Surfliner train down to San Diego. Honestly, this is one of the prettiest train rides I've ever been on. San Diego was probably the best place for food I went to in the entire like America. So we had these tacos and then I got this cookie dough sandwich and it was literally the nicest thing. Like, I still dream about this now. And then we got a taxi up to this other part of San Diego to go and like look at the caves and like see some seals. But yeah, it looks very similar to the Isle of Man, which is where I lived. So it was like nostalgic. Also, I made it a mission to try as many American drinks as I could because you can never get them in England and like they're always so much nicer. So, San Diego is done. Now I'm just like in the room. I'm gonna get changed, go down to the pool. It's a heated pool because it is absolutely freezing. I'll show you the room. It's cute. 2 seconds. This is like my bed. So one thing that Contiki was quite good at was the rooms. Most of the places we stayed at were like 2 double beds and they were actually really big rooms as well. There was only like one place where I'd say like I didn't really like the accommodation, but that was in the Grand Canyon, which you'll see in a bit. And then bathroom. It is pretty chill, to be fair. Like, it's huge. Like, I've got a whole double bed to myself. So after going to the pool for a bit, we went for dinner out in like the main bit of San Diego, and that burger was literally the nicest burger I've ever had. Like, San Diego is so good for food. And then Contiki had like arranged for us to go to this karaoke bar, so everyone was singing. It was pretty nice. The drinks were really strong as well. But yeah, it was all good. Hey guys, so just a quick one to say that I'm off to bed, and then tomorrow I think we're going to Arizona. I want to say Phoenix, but it's like gonna be a long day. I think we've got like a 6-hour drive, so I definitely need to get some sleep. I'm very sunburned, but only on one shoulder, so I'm not really sure how that works, but also my face, and I've sunburned my scalp as well. So we had to be up pretty early most days on the Contiki. It meant that you got more out of your day, but also if you're the kind of person who likes a lie-in, might not be for you. I like a lie-in, and I struggle like a lot with the early mornings. But yeah, but here we are just on our way to Arizona. And it was pretty cool because you can see like as you're driving it gets more deserty, like the further you go. And we went to these like sand dunes, and at one point my phone thought I was in Mexico. Like it came up with like the Mexico text, but obviously I wasn't. But that's how close we were to Mexico. So yeah, it's pretty cool. At one point we were like joking that we could see Donald Trump's wall because we were that close. And then we stopped at a service station for lunch, and I got Chipotle, which is now my literal favourite thing ever. And then we got back on the bus for another couple hours of driving, going up to Scottsdale. So apparently Scottsdale is known as like the western town in the west or something like that. And to be fair, I can kind of see why. It does look like kind of like a western movie a bit. But yeah, and then we went to the saloon. This is the room in Scottsdale. So for dinner we went to this country style restaurant. This was also included within the contiki tour. The restaurant itself was really nice. However, there wasn't really many veggie options. Like, I don't really eat like meat on the bone. So I got rice, mushrooms and strawberries. I mean, they were really accommodating because I forgot to tell them in advance. But obviously it's just something to be aware of. If you are veggie or vegan, then the options can be quite limited for you.
That's what they were just saying. Why are we sitting outside?
The next morning we were up at like 4 o'clock in the morning because we were going on a sunrise hot air balloon ride. This is one of the optional contiki add-ons. Obviously with every trip they give you like certain things and you can choose whether or not you want to do them. So I did most of them, I think. One of the ones I didn't do was like the Las Vegas Tower, but I think I did most of everything else. In my opinion, if you're going to go, you may as well do all of the optional add-ons. Mostly just because they make the trip and they are all planned for you. And like things like this I would never have thought of doing, but ends up being like one of the highlights of the whole entire trip. So, funny story about this hot air balloon. As we were like trying to land it, we basically just couldn't find a place to land with the wind. So we ended up in a field and the basket kind of ended up on its side as we landed. But yeah, it was pretty fun anyway. So the added bonus of doing the hot air balloon ride was that you got free mimosas afterwards. So yeah, that's a pretty unique experience in itself, is just drinking like champagne in the desert. Like, it's very unique, once in a lifetime. This is why you may as well do all the optional add-ons.
We are going to a higher altitude.
So after the hot air balloon, we checked out to the hotel and started driving towards the Grand Canyon. We also did stop in Sedona for the day too, which was really cool. And then we went on this Jeep tour ride, which was literally like one of the funniest things I've ever done in my life. You'll see that in a second.
Experienced scientists strongly refute.
So one of the main attractions of Sedona is these like ley lines or like magnetic fields of energy or whatever. So the Jeep tour guy was like, oh, I'll take you to see them. So I don't really believe in that kind of thing. But yeah, but if you do, then go to Sedona. If you listen really closely in this clip, you can hear the tour guide talking about like vortexes and ley lines. And he even says, one spot will make your heart accelerate or something like that. In fairness, it did make my heart accelerate, but only because I was literally fearing for my life, because it was so bumpy.
Don't let go. Magma. It's an active volcano up there. So, I don't know, you get earthquakes in Britain?
Not really.
No?
Not really.
No.
There's not enough things to hold.
Some 60 million years ago, this was all an iron-rich ocean. Wow. So that's what actually makes everything red. It's iron, or iron oxide.
After the Jeep tour, we only had about 25 minutes for lunchish. I mean, the view was really nice. But yeah, and I got this like prickly pear dip. I didn't even know that was a thing. But yeah, it came through in my meal, so I gave it a try. It was alright, to be fair. After a few detours, because of the bad weather, we arrived at the Grand Canyon. And this is where we were camping, so that was the picture I was shown on the website. The tents themselves didn't really look like that. They kind of more were like this. I mean, if you're a camping person, you probably love it. But for me personally, I'm not a fan of the great outdoors. And there was a hole in the tent as well. It was so windy. And you had to walk ages for the showers and I got lost. But it was an experience. But yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't do that again. Also, it's probably just me being stupid, but I didn't realise how cold deserts got at night. I kind of thought they were just hot places. So I literally only brought shorts and t-shirt, and literally no exaggeration, it was like -2 this night. And I was in shorts and a t-shirt in a tent that had a hole in it, and I also didn't feel well. It was, yeah, not fun. The next day was the day that we were going to the Grand Canyon. So I hadn't slept all night because it was so cold, and I also had a chest infection, so I was pretty miserable. But we were going to the Grand Canyon, so I was trying to be happy, and here's us going on the helicopter ride, which was another add-on. First I was torn about the helicopter, but it's definitely worth the money. One of the good things about doing a contiki is that someone's there if things go wrong. So I needed to go to the doctors to get a prescription because of how bad my asthma was flaring up because I was not well. And my tour guide was really good, and everyone got off the bus, and then I went to the doctors, and then they picked me up afterwards, which was really nice as well. So in terms of that, that's like invaluable, is like having their experience. But yeah, but also look how pretty the Grand Canyon is. Like, the video doesn't even do it justice. It really was like a once in a lifetime experience, and it's probably something I wouldn't have done had it not been for the contiki. So here I am at the doctor's. So, fun story about this, they actually got me mixed up with another patient, and they were coming in and asking for like blood samples and urine samples, and I was literally just there like, why do I need to do that for a prescription? I was so confused, but I was just like, yeah, okay. And also I was panicking a little bit too, because basically I didn't have any signal, so I couldn't transfer money into my savings to pay for the prescription. And it was literally so expensive. It does make you feel grateful for the NHS, because we think our prescriptions are expensive, but they're nothing compared to like what they are in America. Because I had to go to the doctors, everyone else on my group had already like gone off and started their days by the time I actually got to the Grand Canyon. I'm walking up to one of the points, I'm literally so out of breath. It's not even steep, it's just like, I don't know. Anyway, so just chilling on my own at the Grand Canyon. A bit weird.
Always on my mind.
I'm just trying to figure out where I actually am. I'm here. Which way am I going? So because there was no signal in the parks, I couldn't message anyone or like use data to find out where I was. So I kind of just had to walk around in a big circle and hope that eventually I found someone, or like that I found the meeting point. But yeah, so I just did the rim trail, which is like one of the easiest trails at the Grand Canyon. And as well, because it was all kind of one big circle, I was kind of hoping that like eventually at some point I would have to find someone. But yeah, I didn't really find anyone though till right at the end of the day, so it was kind of lonely. It's really easy to make friends on a contiki, but you also have to be prepared to spend time on your own as well. Purely just because sometimes there might be times like today, for example, on this day for me, where you do have to be on your own, and you've got to be confident enough to do that. Another good thing about doing a contiki is that they do sometimes take you to places that you'd never even thought of going to. So the day after we stayed at the Grand Canyon, we stopped at this town called Seligman, which is on Route 66. This is the town that the film Cars was based off. This actually ended up being one of my favourite places that we went to on the trip, purely because it just was so different to anything else. And also there's loads like cute picture spots, and it's just overall like the vibes are like really cool. But yeah, but it's not something I would have ever have done on my own, so Contiki's good for that.
Terrifying maker.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, his eyes are so thin. It's like, his eyes need to be thicker.
I need to leave my stomach.
So when we got to Vegas, Contiki basically planned for us to have this meal and go to this wedding chapel, and then our tour guide as well, she knew people who had like club entry and stuff, so she arranged that for us. But yeah, but here we are. I had a whole drama with the meal, but that's like a story time for later. But yeah, we'll just keep that in mind. So the club we went to was this souk nightclub, that's what it was called. And it was a really weird thing, so like the drinks were so expensive for starters, so I got like a single vodka lemonade and literally spent like $20 on a single, which is like so different to the UK, like what I'm used to, especially living up north. Also, you had to queue for like 40 minutes just to get onto the dance floor, which I found really strange. But yeah, but clubbing in Vegas is like a once in a lifetime experience, like bucket list. Yeah.
New lights.
No, I'm glad to not be glamping. I woke up and I was like, wow.
Good man, yourself.
So as we were walking around Vegas, we kept going into like these hotels and casinos and stuff to look around. And literally, like, you can get lost so easily in them. And at first I thought, like, oh, fair enough, we're just getting lost. But then the tour guide on, like, our trip said that apparently, like, it's designed like that, so that you get lost in there and then you end up spending more money. So that's a fun fact for you.
Maybe we could just go inside.
Honestly, Vegas is like nowhere else I've ever been. Like the closest thing I could describe it to is like a really posh Blackpool. Like if Blackpool was bougie, and if you're from the north of England you'll know what I mean. But yeah, it's just very over the top and cheesy, but also like everything's so interesting, like even just to look at, like even the buildings and the hotels. Honestly, this chest infection I had on this trip was so weird because one day I'd feel fine and the next day I'd feel awful. But anyway, so I was just trying to make the most of it, and then we got here to Bass Lake and it was actually like really nice. Like this is the part of the trip that I wasn't expecting much out of, but this is actually my favourite night of the entire night. Like we just played card games and then like played different games like from different people's countries, which was just really nice and like a really good way to get to know each other. And then the next day we went to Yosemite National Park. Again, not something I was expecting much of, but actually it was really, really pretty. The only thing was this day I was really tired, so I didn't like do any massive hikes or anything, but it was still kind of cool, and it was just nice just being in nature. I think we are in different countries.
Have you guys seen the Wall recently?
I do, yeah. Kill some time.
Yeah, I think so.
And then do you just like stay in the cabin?
So after we saw El Capitan, we basically had the whole day to ourselves, so a couple of us decided to walk up to the waterfalls. There was loads of different walks you could do, but we just did the waterfall because, well, it's a waterfall, and plus it was like a pretty easy going walk, and we weren't really fancying anything like strenuous, or at least I wasn't anyway. So then we went back to the room, and this is the view from the cabin, if you were wondering. There was actually a full kitchen in the cabins, but I just had a microwave pizza. So the next day we started driving to San Francisco, and this is where you start to feel a bit sad because, like, you know the trip's coming to an end on this night. Like, when you leave Bass Lake, you're like, oh, like, it's over so quickly. Like, it literally does fly by so much. Also, something to consider if you are going to book a contiki is, like, the finishing times. So our trip finished, like, our last organised activity was in the night of San Francisco. So if you want to stay extra and, like, actually see San Francisco properly, you do need to buy a hotel yourself. It's not really a big deal, but it's just something to think about beforehand. It's also probably a good idea to book a hotel for like a night or two in LA the night before, because the trip does start really early too. So just keep that in mind. There are loads of pros and cons of doing a contiki trip, but one of the things that really appealed to me was that literally you're in such a big group, you're going to have people with you pretty much constantly. And I think that was one of the highlights for me, was like having people to share the experiences with. Plus the fact that everything is organised for you, so there's literally no way that I could have done all this on my own. Like, it would have been overwhelming, whereas obviously with contiki everything is just planned and you've just got times and places to be. And, like, you don't really have to think about everything. Like, I love going on travelling on my own and, like, planning my own things. But it was nice to be able to just relax, especially somewhere as big as America, and just know that everything's sorted. So, for the last night of the trip, we went to a restaurant in the Chinatown area of San Francisco. So, it's the last day in San Francisco, last day on the contiki tour. It finishes today at 11, so all we've got to do is check out and then it's done. But yeah, I'm not really sure what the plan for today is. I think I'm going to look around San Francisco, and I've also got to check into my other hotel and like get everything ready for the flight. I think a group of us going to IHOP, and I still need to try McDonald's before I leave too, so we'll I think that's the plan for the day. Yeah, I'm going to finish getting ready. I'm just going to finish packing. I've actually managed to keep things pretty organised, which is not like me. Just doing the last checks. I think I've got everything, but I don't know. We'll see. So a fun fact about me is that one of my favourite things to do when I'm on holiday is to try the McDonald's. I don't know why, it's like the same but different, and I don't know why, it just really, I love it. But anyway, so here's me trying the American McDonald's. I actually think it's not as good as in England. It's like the last day I'm going to do this because I'm flying home in like 20 minutes. It's weird to be leaving, like I feel like I've been here forever, but also like no time at all at the same time. But yeah, I need to figure out how I'm getting to the airport. It's a little bit stressful because I have no really idea, like an American airport, like flying to LA, it was confusing, so we're gonna have to figure it out. This is the room. I've obviously already slept in it, but yeah, here we go. So, pre-warning, I'm not actually that miserable, it is just my face. But yeah, but I had to get an Uber to the airport because the BART system in San Francisco didn't take my bank card. And then when I got to the airport, literally like the check-in line was so long and there was only one person on. And then at 12 o'clock, they all just went for lunch break and just left the line of people standing there. So I managed to use like the manual check-in. But yeah, it was a little bit of a stressful experience. But luckily there were people from my tour group on the same flight. So at least like we were all in it together kind of thing. But yeah. The flight coming back from America was nowhere near as bad as the flight going there. I had a couple seats to myself, so that was really nice. And also it kind of just flew by so quickly. We had an hour stop in Amsterdam in the middle. But overall it was just a really smooth, easy experience. Like, definitely do a stop in Amsterdam if you get the option. The food though wasn't the best. Like, it's not really the end of the world, but like, I don't even know what this was. It was horrible. I didn't even finish eating it. But yeah, so the chocolates I brought home as souvenirs, I ended up eating them on the plane. So sorry to my family for that. But overall, I would definitely recommend Contiki as a tour guide, tour provider, especially for America, where it's quite hard to do solo travel and hard to travel on your own. But yeah, so there were a couple of downsides, like for example, like the timings and stuff. It didn't really feel like you had a lot of time, but I think that's going to be the case no matter what trip you do. So if that's something that you really want to do, maybe it's not for you, or book a couple extra days. But overall, I definitely recommend it purely for the once in a lifetime experiences that you get on the trip that I would never have done on my own. I really wasn't sure if I was even going to post this video, but I remember like when I was like trying to research trips and stuff and trying to find information on Contikis, I kind of wish I'd had something like this. So yeah, so if you have any questions, obviously put them in the comments and I'll answer them, or just message me on Instagram. Just because I know like how scary it can be and you want to know like hundreds of things, so feel free to just ask them. But yeah, thanks for watching the video and see you next time.